Hello again, indie game fans. Welcome back to I Dream of Indie. This is Ole Gamer Joe. I'm here with another review for you today. We're looking at Colossus Down on the Steam PC platform, also available on the Xbox platform, available as of December 16th, 2020. This one comes from developer and publisher Mango Protocol. It's a 2D action beat-em-up brawler, and it's priced at $17.99, available as of December 16th, 2020. Colossus Down puts you in control of Nika and her giant MechaNika, a robot which she has created in order to destroy all of the cool things in the world. Being an arcade-style brawler, you do have the ability to go two-player in this one, and that second player will be able to control Agatha, who can then turn into the Great Bleeding Pig, a massive pig-like creature who carries a butcher knife and controls somewhat similar to Nika and the MechaNika, but not exactly. Now, you might be wondering why you can't play as Agatha in single player. That's a valid concern, but it sort of makes sense in the context of the storyline here. The MechaNika is pretty important to the overall flow of this game. Regardless, what you have here is a pretty interesting combat system for a brawler. You have your standard attack, of course, but the MechaNika also comes equipped with some unique abilities. You have a cannon that you can use to shoot enemies from a distance, the ability to charge into enemies, and you can also jump. You will have to rely on some platforming. Outside of that, the MechaNika can shock enemies with an electric-based attack, and this can also be used to solve some light environmental puzzles along the way. But the real fun comes in upgrading your MechaNika, which you will do by collecting screws off of environmental objects that you destroy, as well as enemies that you defeat. While the combat system and the overall upgrading is pretty simple to figure out, it's not a complex game whatsoever. I think it's quite satisfying, actually. I enjoyed switching up the different attacks, mixing in some special abilities that I learned along the way, including a really cool ground pound attack that's a lot of fun to use. All of that said, you're probably going to find this game pretty easy through the first couple of levels, and that's due to the fact that you have unlimited lives, but eventually you're given a choice. You can sacrifice learning all of the abilities for your MechaNika in order to have the unlimited lives continue, or you can give up that right, and then you will only get one run at each level, and if you die, it's all the way back to the beginning. This will allow you, however, to get every ability for your mech. I did think that was kind of a cool way to implement two different difficulties, but another thing I have to tip my hat to in Colossus Down is the fact that the two-player mode does offer a few different cutscenes and some story differences between the single-player mode, because you do have that second character, Agatha, along for the ride. They went the extra mile to actually write some new dialogue and even add some new scenes. It's pretty cool. One feature of Colossus Down that I wasn't such a big fan of, though, was its puzzles. There are some strange logic puzzles going on here that kind of pop up out of nowhere, and they're not particularly fun to solve. I get the idea they were trying to break up the monotony of brawler gameplay, but most of these just kind of annoyed me, to be real with you. They aren't terribly difficult, and they're certainly not a game breaker, but I don't really feel the need for them to be here at all. That's just me. And another little point of contention that I have with this game is that while the dialogue is entertaining, the overall story is kind of funny and amusing, there is some dark humor here, I think that there is a little bit too much of that dialogue at times. There were certainly points where scenes just seemed to go on, and I wanted to get back to the brawling action, which I was enjoying quite a bit. I will also say that the platforming that is forced in this game isn't very good, and that's due to the fact that, well, this wasn't really built to be a platformer. Again, not game-breaking, and I get the idea of trying to break up the flow of things, but on the whole, wasn't a huge fan of the platforming sections of this game either. Regardless, I commend this title for mixing things up, and the overall brawling action is a lot of fun, particularly if you have a friend to play as Agatha and go along the journey with you. Graphically, Colossus Down reminds me a lot of Castle Crashers. The vibrant art really does pop. There's nice enemy design going on here. All of the characters are cute and quirky. The animations are well done. This look might not be for everyone, but I personally really did enjoy it. The game also does a good job of switching up environments. This is a surprisingly lengthy game. As I crossed 3-4 hours, I was expecting it to come to an end, and yet there were more and more levels, so there's a good variety of different environments, nice animations, beautiful colors, and it all looks really nice. You have 18 levels in total here, from schoolyards to neon cities to a candy land, I guess, and it all looks great. The electronic-infused soundtrack here isn't half bad either. Some of these melodies were rather infectious and they did get stuck in my head. I enjoyed the shoot-'em-up levels theme in particular. Yes, this game does throw a few curveballs your way. Explosions and other sound effects are decent, a little bit on the generic side. There's no real voice acting here, which could be looked at as a disappointment, but on the whole, the sound design works effectively enough. It's the graphics that I'll remember more than the sound, but still, that soundtrack not half bad. Colossus Down is a pretty fun brawler. It does have some unique creative ideas to it that help it to stand out a bit. I enjoyed all of the different mechanics to your MechaNika, and the ability to have Agatha along for the ride makes it enjoyable. No online, unfortunately, so you will have to rely on local co-op here, but at least you do have that Steam feature which allows for 2 players to play remotely if you so wish, if you are playing the PC version. Despite my gripes with some of the cutscenes being a little too long, and perhaps some of the puzzles getting under my skin a bit, I really do recommend this one if you're a fan of brawlers. Thank you so much for checking out our review of Colossus Down today. Will you be picking this one up? Let us know in the comments section below. And if you've enjoyed our video coverage today, consider that subscribe button, hit it, and join us in our fight to bring a voice to the voiceless ones in gaming.